Life is a journey, and through this journey, we come across all challenges. These challenges makes us better human beings. We live for the pleasure of serving others and feeling the guidance of the Creator. Join us and explore the opportunities to overcome your difficulties this Ramadan, here on the Nation Station.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praise be to Allah, the Master of the Day of Judgment, and peace and blessings be upon our beloved Messenger. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear listeners, from me, Hatem al-Absalam, and my dear brother Ahmed al-Mata'ani. Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you today?
Well, a little bit under the weather.
You're under the weather every single day. I don't know when you're going to be on top of the weather. But this is what I have in life. I'll have to live with it. No worries.
Man. But I can handle it. Don't worry.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
So today we have a brand new show, a new topic. And it's an important topic, I think, Ahmed.
For sure.
And today's topic is modern poverty.
Correct.
Yeah, so we have a lot to talk about.
Correct.
Today about poverty and modern poverty. And before we start with today's topic, we'd like to remind our listeners that they can always call us on 24602058, 24602058, and they can also log on to our Facebook page, Life as It Is. They can every single day we update the page with some of the information and tips that we discuss during the shows. And we also upload the previous episodes on YouTube, so you can find all the links there on our Facebook page.
Correct.
So Ahmed, where do we start? Maybe what is poverty?
Yeah. So before we start talking about, the topic of today, I guess, we need to define the word poverty. In a very simple way, poverty is what? Just, not
feeling deprived of something.
Yeah, exactly. Not having the essential financial resources that makes somebody live with the limited or minimum standards of living.
Yes.
So this is when we talk about poverty.
And
but if you allow me, I would just want to also say a quote by Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
When he said poverty is the worst form of violence. I mean, just to show that poverty is not a joke. It's a serious, disease that we have in the society.
There is a very famous quote by Al-Imam Ali karramallahu wajhah. He said, لو كان الفقر رجلا لقتلته.
Exactly.
If poverty was a man, I would have killed him.
Yes.
And this indicates the effect of poverty on society and how people who are in under the line of poverty, what different and difficult times they are going through.
Yeah. Can we share some statistics about poor people around the world?
Please do.
Nearly half of the world population, almost we're talking about more than 3 billion people, live on less than $2.5 a day.
Subhanallah.
Yeah. Can you imagine? $2.5 a day, okay? And also 1.3 billion live in extreme poverty. Less than $1.25 a day. You see? So, I guess, a lot of people should say, Alhamdulillah, for a lot of things, they have, okay, compared to other people who really struggle on a daily basis.
I think all of us, we're among the lucky ones who are blessed with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by all these blessings. We have the providings, we have our daily 3 meals, we have a shelter, we have clothing. Many people around the world, they don't have these luxuries.
And, can you imagine out of the 3 million or billion people, that they live under the line of poverty, 1 billion of them, okay, are children.
Yes.
And almost 22,000 children die every day because of poverty.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah, so I mean it's serious, But I guess today we're not talking about this kind of poverty. We're going to talk about a very interesting kind of poverty.
Yes, there are many types of poverty that we wanted to go through today.
Yes.
There are 4 main types of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first type of poverty. Okay, before that, we'd like, for the people who just joined us, we just wanted to tell them that we are talking today about modern poverty.
Yes.
And they can call us on 24602058. Okay, so the first type of poverty is the moral poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the second type of poverty is intellectual poverty. Yeah, and the third type is spiritual poverty. And the last one is the physical poverty.
Which is the well-known
the one the common one.
Yes.
The common one.
Yeah.
Now, each one of them is quite different from the other.
Correct.
Yeah, and each one of them has an effect on us and on the society.
Yeah, and the
in
world.
A different way.
Yeah, correct.
So where do we start? Maybe we should start with the intellectual poverty, Ahmed. What is meant by intellectual poverty?
Yeah, from the definition of the term, intellectual, something to do with your level of intellectuality, okay, where people lack, the intellectual knowledge, okay, that they should have, in order to cope with the changes of life in terms of knowledge. And we suffer from this because I think Dr. Wilde yesterday was talking about the importance of reading, okay, and education in general. And we had also one whole episode about, the importance of knowledge and education, where why we are left behind, compared to other nations.
Yes.
So we suffer from this kind of intellectual poverty, where people don't have sufficient level of knowledge needed in order to cope with the changes that happen.
Why is this knowledge important, Ahmed? Well, what happens if we don't have this knowledge?
Well, you will be always left behind, as I said. Definitely, you will not be able to advance, because knowledge is a weapon now. I mean, a lot of advanced countries, use knowledge, okay, in order to fight, to compete, financially, economically, educationally, academically, name it,
Yeah.
So if you don't have knowledge, or you're not intellectually, rich, if you want to put it this way, you will be left behind. And, the people who are living in that society, okay, will suffer from this kind of intellectual poverty. So we need knowledge. Whether we like it or not, it is a must thing.
And there are many quotes or verses, ayat from the Holy Quran regarding the level, the importance of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like the first verse that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Holy Quran was read or recite, which indicates the importance of knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in another ayah, in Surah Al-Mujadala, the translation says, Allah will exalt those of you who believe and those who are given knowledge in high ranking.
Yeah.
So
to show the importance of knowledge and the value that you will get when you are educated or intellectual. So that's a very beautiful verse from the Quran to indicate the importance of being intellectual and knowledgeable in a lot of things.
And especially for believers. If you want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best way, then you need to seek knowledge. You can never worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by ignorance.
Exactly. This reminds me with a piece of or a verse, from a poem, for Sheikh As-Salmi, when he said, an act of worship without knowledge is an act of foolishness.
Yes.
Okay, so that means, you cannot worship God, okay, out of ignorance. You have to get yourself educated in order to do that kind of act of worship in a very nice and in right manner. Okay, so we need it even in worshiping God. It's not like just, rituals, and you do them, just for the sake of doing them.
Ahmed, if we look at the Islamic world today, where there is a lot of intellectual poverty.
Yes.
So what is going on today in the Islamic world? What is happening?
Well, we're left behind, actually, and it's really sad if the teachings of our religion are encouraging us to read and to educate and ourselves, and also to educate people around us. But unfortunately, we are not following the teachings. We pick, or I would say we follow Islam selectively.
Yes.
We choose whatever suits our hidden agenda, if you want to call it, or not necessarily a hidden agenda, but our
needs.
Our needs.
So maybe we would read and study to graduate, to have a good job, but not for the sake of knowledge.
Yeah, and then by the end of that graduation period or graduation or study time, you forget about everything. Okay?
You're done.
You're done. You don't make the connection why you're learning. You don't see the value of learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now we spoke about the physical poverty, which is very common.
Yeah.
All our listeners, mostly, they know about physical.
Yeah.
And you gave us some statistics, so we're not going to get into that in detail. But the next one that we want to move on to is the spiritual poverty.
Exactly.
Yeah? So spirituality is very important, is necessary. It's it's the food to the soul.
Correct.
Yeah. And without the spirituality in our lives are empty.
Correct.
Although there is a counter argument out there that no, we don't need spirituality, we don't need God in our life.
Yeah.
But by time it has been proven that without spirituality people go astray.
Yes. And not only that, you start feeling them that there's something wrong with them. It will affect, their psychological state.
Yes.
Because they always need this component that could fill, okay, the soul, okay, or the spiritual side of them. Okay, you cannot live without having spirituality in your life. Okay, I mean, the definition of spirituality could differ from one person to another. Even those who do not believe in God, they will have to have their own rituals, actually, in order to fill that, empty part when it comes to the soul.
Yes.
Not necessarily the same, having a religion, but they will definitely have to go for a ritual or something, even like satanic worshippers, for example.
Yes.
I mean, mainly, some people might think that they don't have a religion, but they do have a religion. And they have certain, rituals and moves and so on in order to be done in order to get to a certain spiritual side. Now we're not talking about, whether it is a good one or a bad one. But we're talking about the idea of, just filling that, gap or empty side of you with spirituality. And there are so many things that we can do when it comes to the spirituality,
And now the entire world is moving towards godless world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is a trend that is happening around the world, and it's not a good phenomenon.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's affecting our lives. It's affecting the way we deal with others.
Mm-hmm.
It's affecting our priorities in life.
Yes.
Yeah? So the next one, Ahmed, that we want to get into is the moral poverty, which is the main topic of today.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Now, moral can be classified in many ways and terms, and each civilization, each community would have their own definition of what is moral and what is not. But if we want to know the standard moral, standard moral principles, you should always go back to the divine sources.
Correct. And definitely, like, even if you're talking about the boundaries, like who puts the boundaries, what are the benefits and so on. Yeah. But I would say one thing, when it comes to the moral side of the story, morality comes to benefit everyone.
Yes.
Without, harming other people. That's, like the bottom line. Like we need to have morals, okay, that benefit everybody. We don't have a loser, in this, formula, if you want to call it. So if we have that, then we'll not have a lot of clashes when it comes to this.
And I think most of the moral principles are standard throughout the world.
Yes.
Yeah. For example, saying the truth, being honest, being faithful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being on time, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all things.
But some people might argue, or they might, bring the argument of, there will be always, different levels of degrees, when it comes to how you define each of these morals, okay, according to your context.
Yes.
Being punctual, for example, for you could be, like you have to come on time, exactly at the same time.
Yes.
It could be for somebody else to come before that time. It could be, maybe, coming maybe 2 or 3 minutes late. Even, like in terms of, the other morals. So that's also one thing. But
the norm is the same, Ahmed. Yeah? Everybody wishes that everybody comes on time.
Correct.
If you come earlier, nobody minds you coming earlier.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. But if you come late, then there lies the problem. So to be in a moral position, if you give someone a specific time, then you should be.
Let me give you an example. Let's say now, when you talk to people from your family, okay, and you treat them well.
Yes.
Okay, you treat them well. But when you go outside and you don't treat other people, the same way you do, but you treat them nicely. Okay, but your family, you treat them what? Really well. So is this moral?
It depends on the need.
What do you mean?
For my family, their needs is for me to give them that extra good treatment.
So they should be like a bottom line.
For someone who is an outsider, he might not know me that well. So the minimum of goodness is sufficient for him, is good enough for him.
This is what I meant, the degree, will differ according to the situation and the context that you are in. Exactly. Yes.
So is there a relationship between the modern life that we're living and the modern poverty or the moral poverty? Was it there in the past, the moral poverty?
Yeah, actually, it's been always the case, since the creation of human beings, okay? There is always this kind of relationship between the fight for having, good morals, okay, to survive in this life, and also the idea of, competition, and that, competition situation might bring this kind of the idea of morality, into the context.
Yes.
So it's not a new concept. Maybe now
it's always been there.
It's always been there. But the only thing is that, maybe now we talk about it because we have so many tools or means of communications to talk about it. But it's always there, so we cannot say that it's a new phenomenon. And even if we still call it modern poverty, okay, we still can refer to it, from the past.
Yeah, but maybe there are some elements in the modern world that contribute to accelerating this moral poverty.
Exactly.
Some elements, like in the past, people lived in closed communities, in tribes.
Yeah.
And these tribes and these small communities, they regulated the morality.
It could be the case.
In certain like families, we had big families.
Yeah.
And more than one family would live in one house, so there was like a conduct, there was like a bond between them. Now that in the modern world, more people are more independent. Yeah, so you don't see big families living together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the fast life that we're living. Yeah, there is no time to spend with family, with loved ones, with the tribe.
Yeah.
So this is affecting.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking about the social component of the story, but also at the same time, that doesn't mean that we don't have clashes. We didn't have problems. We didn't have, misunderstanding. We didn't have, a lot of clashes, between these, family members or the other members of the society and so on. But I agree with you. Maybe the lifestyle in the past, might have helped a lot in not having the phenomenon in a bigger form. Now, with no limitations, we're living, in a global, village. There are so many factors, contributing on the way we think, the way we behave, the way we act, could really add or accelerate, as you said, okay, the process of, modern poverty. I would agree with that. But we still have it, from the beginning.
So what are some of the other things that are affecting our morality in this world, Ahmed?
I would, first of all, we talked about the idea of knowledge. The more knowledge you have, okay, supposedly, I would say this is in a general context, will help a lot in making us, understand why we have to be morally, okay, moral people in the society, and we have, more ethics.
Ahmed, I don't know if you agree with me. There are two outcomes out of knowledge.
Yeah.
One is humbleness.
Yeah.
And one is arrogance.
I would agree.
Maybe in the past, the more knowledge you have, the more humble you become. But maybe today, the more knowledge you have, the more arrogant you are.
Yes, but not in
all cases.
Yes,
of
in
course.
all cases. I would totally agree with you. And this brings us to the idea of the core meaning of knowledge, and the expected outcomes, of knowledge, to be seen in the society. Because also knowledge can also contribute in wars. Like we have scientists, who could, come up with...
who are developing weapons every single day.
Exactly. So, and this is part of knowledge.
Yes.
And if we don't have morals and ethics in our society that stop these people from doing, what they're doing, then definitely, we will have, like a chaos, in our society and in our life. So knowledge can be a factor that contribute, to the idea of, morality in our society or not. Of course, the importance of religion in our lives, because we derive all these, like morals and ethics, from authentic sources. Okay, like in our case, as Muslims, we have the Holy Quran, and also we have, the
prophetic tradition.
Yes. So religion plays a role in also in making us, live, these morals in our society. Of course, we talked before about the idea of society. Sometimes, we drive a lot of morals from our society, but we don't know that they are part of the religion. Or maybe the religion could adopt, this kind of, morals from a society, which are not necessarily, derived from the Quran or from the Prophet, because they are good and they bring goodness, to the society. I would say also like...
I have one also, which is the competition.
Yes.
The competition among people now is to the extreme.
Yes.
Yeah, people compete in jobs, people compete in business, people compete in everything, single thing. Even brothers and sisters, they compete among themselves.
Yeah.
And even animosity is introduced among them because of the possessions of this world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see today people, a brother and another brother going to court.
Yeah.
Yeah, to settle a dispute on land, on possession, on property, and this might not have been the case in the past, or it might have happened, but in a minimum level, not as the one what we witness today.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have the disputes between couples, the marriage dispute. They're just to the extreme. In the past, it's if things are not working out between us, then it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I would be a gentleman and I would let go of the woman to continue with her life.
Yeah.
I will not keep on, struggling and enforcing my power over that woman who is my wife.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things in our modern life that really is affecting the way we think, and I think always it's related to the hereafter.
Yeah.
When we stop thinking of the hereafter about
and we just think about materialism in the world, and
and it really affects the way we conduct ourselves and the way we conduct with others as well.
Yeah, I might just add one thing. There's nothing wrong with the idea of competition. Okay, but as you said, sometimes we take it to another level, which could harm other people. And as we said before, the idea of setting morals or morality in the society should always have everybody winning. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a win-win situation. I should not harm you, okay, because I just have, I want to use this, concept in order to benefit and, let other people, lose. So the concept of competition could be a very good, and even it's mentioned in the Quran. وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسُ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ.
Yes.
In a good deeds, people should really compete, and that's, should be the case. But nowadays, we compete, in things which are not related to morality.
It's very sad, Ahmed. Today, if me and you are in the same company or same department, it is not necessary for me to step on you to be able to accelerate or to progress. Yeah, we can do it together.
Yes.
It's a win-win situation. Yeah? I can extend my hand to help you. And at the same time, I would progress.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that I have to go through dark channels for you to be demoted, for you to, to destroy you.
Yes.
And to the extent some of the people go and do some witchcraft for others just because of 100 riyals or 200 riyals, which is really crazy. Yeah, and the punishment in the hereafter is severe. Yeah. And people don't think about it. They just think about the temporary gain that I'm going to get.
That's a very, sad, phenomenon that we have in the society, unfortunately, is that, because I hate you, or you competing with me, or you taking, everything that I have in life. Although, the simple measure for success in life is to work hard.
Yes.
Okay. All what you need to do is to work hard. Okay. And
you don't need to prove to people. You just need to prove to yourself. Exactly. And Allah is watching.
Yes.
And Allah will provide you with the reward.
I don't know why, we have this hostility, in our society to compete, we are supposed to compete in order to improve the quality of life, for people around us. If that, the goal, then it should be fine. But the problem is that if I'm going to, as we said at the beginning, if we're going to harm each other, then we'll have, a lot of problems, we'll have a lot of battles, and then, there's no productivity in the society, and which is against, against our teachings in Islam.
The most, a very sick disease that we have today, Ahmed, is envy.
Yes. Yeah,
this envy is a disease, is a serious disease, and most of the time it does not have a cure. Once you have this envy in your heart, then you'll always have a bitter life.
Correct.
For any success in front of you, you will never have a peaceful sleep.
Correct.
You will always want the other person to be deprived from that success. And we witness this many times, that there are a lot of successful people around. And the people who are on top of them, who are in charge, they try their level best to destroy them.
Yes. And instead of, creating, a platform for these people to be more productive and more creative, because at the end of the day, when we have such people in the society, that means, the society will benefit, okay, in all levels, okay. We will have scientists, we'll have, scholars, we'll have, people who could contribute in all aspects of life. And instead of just, relying on people from outside. I'm not saying that we should not have people from outside, but what I'm saying is that why we have to really all the time rely on people, from outside. If we can develop, a lot of people from our society and give them the chance to shine and to excel in life, then, we should create the atmosphere for them.
Yes, definitely.
And this is part of, the moral, poverty that, a lot of people suffer from.
Okay, let us take a short break and then we'll come back to continue the topic.
Okay.
Radio, Sultanate of Oman, 90.4 FM.
Lulu BMW Dream Drive. This season, luxury awaits you at Lulu. Shop and win 6 BMW X5 35i and other fabulous prizes. With every purchase of 10 riyals, get a chance to win up to 6 BMW X5 35i and 30 Icon products like 48-inch LED TVs, top-load automatic washing machines, air coolers, halogen air fryers, tablets and lots more. Shop at Lulu today and stand to drive home your dream. Promotion valid till 5th August 2015. Lulu, where the world comes to shop.
Let us take you on a spiritual journey through our voice this Ramadan in Life as It Is. Explore opportunities and tranquility with the young voices of tomorrow on the Nation Station 90.4 FM from Saturday to Thursday, 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Engineer Muhammad Farouk, Janab Al-Saida, Maya Al-Said, Ahmed Al-Matani, and Hatem Al-Abdus Salam. Call us on 246-02058 or text us at 90406 to explore your potentials like never before. This Ramadan, here on the Nation Station.
Alaikum, welcome back to your show, Life as It Is, and today we're talking about Modern Poverty, with me, Hatim Al-Absalam, and my brother Ahmed Al-Matani. And you can call us on 24602058, 24602058. And now the next point that we wanted to discuss about is there a relationship between the types of poverty, the 4 types of poverty that we spoke about, which is the moral poverty, the intellectual poverty, the spirituality poverty, and the physical poverty?
They are really well connected, actually. And sometimes, one lead to the other.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not, like they're well connected, well interconnected, in fact. And, I'll give you an example, for example. When we don't have moral poverty, okay, well, as we said before, what's going to happen? We're going to compete. We're going to do a lot of things, in order to harm other people, which will lead, to also that other people, hate each other, which also will make other people, get into categories or classifications, poor, rich, middle class, and so on, which also lead to the physical poverty. And of course, when you don't have moral poverty, that will also lead to the spirituality poverty, because morals are the generators, okay, for the spirituality.
Yes.
So when you don't have morals in your life, you will start, forgetting about your spiritual side. Okay.
Because the spiritual side is all about morals.
Exactly.
So if you don't have morals, then you will not be interested in the spiritual side.
Yeah. And of course, the intellectual poverty is the main, source of all of them. Yeah. Because when you have the right knowledge, okay, to that feed, all the other, types of poverty, then definitely that will lead to the other types of poverty.
The thing is, when you have the physical poverty, then you will not be looking at the intellectual side, because you'll be hungry. Your main priority will be food and drink.
Yes.
So you will not be interested in the intellectual.
Yes. And the funny part, that people nowadays, in our, as you called it at the beginning, busy life, okay, tend to focus on one and forget about the others. Like, for example, they would focus on how they live and so on, but they would forget about their morality.
Yes.
Okay. Also, some people, might forget about, their spiritual life. Okay. And that will lead them to what? To have, poverty, morally and spiritually. So you see, there's a strong connection between the 4 of them. We cannot separate them from each other.
I think, Ahmed, people are really focusing on 2. Yeah, the physical poverty, they make sure that they fill their bellies.
Yeah.
And the intellectual poverty in a certain way.
Yes.
For example,
to some extent.
I have to go to school. I have to go to college.
Yeah.
But will that knowledge benefit me in my life? Will it benefit humanity?
Yeah.
That's a big question mark.
And can we call it intellectual, richness in a way, to go to school? Maybe it is a social necessity.
Yes.
Because everybody goes to school.
Then I
have to go to school. So
it's the law. It's the law of the land.
Yes, exactly. So we cannot sometimes, do without it, because there is a pressure from the society that we have to do it. It's not because we want to intellectually grow.
So the 2 which are left out, which is the spirituality and the morals, these 2 are most of the time
left out.
Yeah. I think we have a call. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Who
How
is
are
this?
you?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Yeah, very interesting discussion is going on. I was just coming back from work. I just parked my car along the road to participate in your show.
MashaAllah.
Thank you.
Thank you first for stopping and making the call while you are not driving. Thank you so much.
Thank you for educating people about that.
Yeah, I mean, you have covered almost every aspect of the poverty.
Yes.
Just I want to, give my opinion regarding specifically this part of world.
Yes.
The Arab world.
Yes.
I mean, if we see around ourselves, we see we don't lack the physical poverty or the spiritual poverty or the moral poverty. I mean, people, they take care of their spirits. People take care of poor people. and people take care of morality. But unfortunately, there is a massive lack of intellectuality, and this is just my opinion.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, if we see in the past, there were so many scientists, there were so many mathematicians, and other scholars from this part of the world. But in the recent time, unfortunately, we are just depending upon the inventions of the West, and we are just using them, and people are not taking care of inventions or taking excellence in knowledge. Just as earlier brother Hatem, he told that people just gain degrees and knowledge just to get good jobs. I mean, we don't seek excellence in knowledge. We don't seek to invent something which will later on will benefit at mass level. So just I wanted to make this point.
Thank you very much, Brother Mukhtar. Thank you and please continue following our show.
Yeah, sure. I called yesterday and I called today, and hopefully I'll call
Jazakallah
tomorrow
khair.
as well.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Yeah.
Regarding the point that Brother Mukhtar has said, it is very true. It is very true. Yeah. That's why we mentioned that the 4 types are connected.
Correct.
And unless we take them both, we take them, the 4 of them on board, then we're lacking something. Our life is not complete.
Absolutely.
Because you cannot have physical substance and you have spirituality and you have morals and you're not intellectual.
Yeah,
because
you cannot have
your spirituality is leading you towards
based
intellectuality.
On, correct.
Yeah, it's commanding you.
Yes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding us in the Quran to seek knowledge, and the Prophet ﷺ, his teaching is for us that it is an obligation
to learn
and understand knowledge. And seek knowledge.
Yeah.
And even in terms of spirituality, our main aim at the end is to reach the highest level
of spirituality,
of success in heaven.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can only reach the highest level of success in heaven if you have that knowledge.
Yeah, because unfortunately now a lot of our religious rituals, okay, if you want to use that term, are becoming more of habits.
Yes.
Okay. And we suffer from this. Like you talk to somebody, for example, and say, why are you praying? And how you pray. Like a lot of people don't know even, the very simple questions, or let's say basic knowledge, okay, about, how to pray, how to fast, how to do this and so on. And they expect, these, rituals to have a great impact on their lives. They will not have any great impact on your life unless you know the core essence of these rituals in your lives. And that requires an intellectual richness, okay, and knowledge and so on. So, and he's right, we suffer, and we said this at the beginning of the program, that we suffer from people who are not, the idea when we were talking about, just asking people to come from outside in order to serve the community. And we're forgetting that this is the responsibility of every single Muslim in the society to contribute, in one way or another. But we are not having, people who are ready to take the job, okay, yes. to be creative, to contribute, in all fields of life. And in order to get that, we have to work on the other elements of the soul and the body and the mind.
We would like to remind our listeners that today we're talking about modern poverty. With me, Hatem Al-Salam, and Ahmed Muta'ni, and would like to remind you of our number. If you have a comment or a discussion point about our topic, our number is 24602058, 24602058, and the next point that we want to discuss about is the condition of the modern world today without morals and ethics. Yeah. I think, Ahmed, we are really deteriorating.
Yeah.
In terms of morals and ethic, whether it is the Islamic world, whether it is the Eastern world, whether it is the Western world, we are suffering from morality. And even when it comes, scholars say that it's better that you don't have knowledge but you have morals, more than the other way around, to have knowledge and you don't have morals.
Yeah.
And even the employers today are suffering from this, and they know. They know this very well.
Yeah.
In the past, when you want to recruit someone, You look at the qualifications, you look
Yeah.
at the experience, and how good this person is in terms of efficiency. But today, the coin has flipped.
Correct.
And they are looking into more attitude, morality, ethics, because these things cannot be taught.
Yes.
Once you have bad habits, once you are, a terrible person in terms of your morality and ethics, it's very, very difficult to change someone.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but
Yeah.
it's difficult. So the entire world is shifting
Yeah.
from morality to immorality.
Yes, and unfortunately, and if you allow me just to say something about the situation. This is why like nowadays there are subjects that we have never had before, like for example job ethics, business ethics,
Yeah.
because we suffer. We suffer from.
They were not there
They
before.
were not before.
They were not there before.
So now a lot of universities.
And many conferences are being done about ethics.
Yeah, because we suffer, and this is at the international level. You have conferences just talk about, the idea of ethics at jobs, at business and so on. Because we have a lot of people graduating from universities with higher qualifications and so on, but they don't have the basic, ethics and morals that make them, do the job the right way.
Yes.
Because, when you don't have morals, when you don't have ethics, you will tend to do a lot of wrong things.
Yes.
And especially you'll focus on maybe, the idea of winning financially, but, that might, create a lot of, problems, for people around you. The idea of competition, in a negative way, the idea of, like harming other people around you. So it's becoming, a problem that, we have to address and we have to talk. And this is why we decided to talk about this topic, because it's spreading, and we have to do something about it.
And the thing is, because of this lack of morality that is there outside in ourselves, in our community, and in the entire world, there are consequences, Ahmed. Maybe we started off at an individual level.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the past, people were striving towards piety, to be their own police.
Yes.
Yeah. To observe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every single thing that they do.
Yes.
Today, we need people to watch over us. Yeah. We don't have that sense of conscience.
Yeah.
That what I'm doing is not right, it's not moral, it's not ethic. And that's why today we have many, many cases where people who commit fraud, people who pay bribery, people who steal from the public property, which is just increasing.
Yes.
And these are people who are highly educated and people with positions. And it can start from a very junior position to a very high position.
Yeah.
So this affects us as individuals.
Correct.
As a first step. And then it affects us as a society. Yeah, in terms of morality, that we don't care about society. We have turned ourselves into a society that cares about myself only.
Yes.
Yeah, what is it in for me?
Yeah.
What will I gain? Yeah, how many lands will I have? How many properties will I have? It's not about our neighbors who are hungry. It's not about the poor who are in our community. I don't believe today, as Muslims, we cannot solve the problem of poverty, the physical poverty in this world.
We have a very important pillar of our religion, which is, the idea of, charity. If everyone pays, like a charity, for example, the right, at the right time, to the right people, do you think, we'll have, problem? And also, look, and this is, also a kind of indication that, our religion is teaching us to be rich. Because, in order to give zakah or charity, you have to have an extra amount of money, which is not used.
Excessive income.
And so that's a clear invitation for everybody to be rich.
Yes.
And in order to fulfill all the pillars of your religion, you have to do something about it. We're talking about the shahada, we're talking about the prayer, we're talking about anything. So in order to fulfill, the pillar of charity, you have to have, another source, or you have to have a lot of, money in order to do this pillar of your religion.
I read one of the statistics. I don't know how far it is true, that the level of poverty that we have in our country here, it's about 87,000 families.
Wow.
Which is not, if this statistic is true, it is not a number that,
we should
can
just
go to sleep,
relax
you should
and forget
ignore.
about it. Yeah.
And if you take, for example, each family has 4 members, the 2 parents and 2 kids. So you're talking about like 1.5 million.
Wow. Yeah.
It's just crazy. Yeah, and we are not taking measures to eliminate
regardless,
poverty.
Regardless the number, okay, it's just the concept, just to see that, there's somebody who's suffering,
yes,
around you and who shares the same values, the same, teachings, and you just watch that person, suffer, is scary by itself. Yes. I mean, forget about the numbers, Hatem. Just, the concept of just, forgetting about people who are around us who could suffer in their lives, okay, is a scary, scene. We have to do something about it. And we just, the idea of selfishness, is becoming a disease that we suffer from, in our society. And I don't know, it just, sometimes we feel that, maybe this is not, like an Islamic society. I'm not saying this is like in a bigger, like form, but still, when you see it, even with a very small scale, it's scary, because a small scale today can, turn to be a bigger scale tomorrow. Bigger scale. So we have to do something about it.
And there are other qualities that are vanishing now in our society, Ahmed, like modesty, like down to earth, like serving others, like generosity, like respect, which really hurts me so much, because our community, our society was well known for respect for one another, despite the differences that we have, despite the background which is different, despite the language, the accent, no matter where you're coming from, or faith, you always had that respect, the element of respect. Today, unfortunately, there are many cases out there that respect simply disappears.
Yeah, I mean, look at the families, for example. Let's talk about, first of all, the first component of any society, which is family. Look at the way that kids, talk to their parents. Okay, it's really, sometimes you'll be surprised, Like I remember once I came, a family came to the college, and the father was trying to talk to his kid, and the kid started shouting at him, calling him names in front of me. I mean, that was like, Ahmed, watching a movie, Ahmed, not even a reality.
This is an automatic reaction of how we treat our children.
Yes.
Because we are not doing our job. We have not instilled in them the moralities, the ethics, the teachings that we should have done long time ago.
Correct.
And now we are harvesting. We're harvesting the fruits.
Exactly.
Yeah, these are the fruits that we planted long time ago. And we can never blame only the younger generation.
Yes.
We have to blame ourselves that we have not been doing our job. We were very busy, providing for them the best schools, the best clothing, the best toys, the best things to eat, the technology. But what about the morals? We have become a society that is
so
bankrupt in morals.
Morally,
we're not generalizing. There are still many strong, good families out there that are keeping up with the morals and instilling these morals in their children.
Yeah, I think, you mentioned something, like at the beginning, the idea that, we have a very busy life.
Yes.
And when you have a busy life, okay, that means, you don't have time, for your family members, including your wife, kids, people who are, you're supposed to take care of. And that, will always, create a gap in terms of dialogue, having a conversation with your kids. Now, like if you ask a lot of parents nowadays, how many, let's say hours they spend with their kids, after they come back from work? That's a very important question, we have to ask. And because if we don't emphasize the role of morality in our house, then where are they going to get it, from where, And of course, nowadays, we have a problem with the schools. Sometimes they don't emphasize the idea of morality at home. At school. They said, we are so concerned about teaching content and forget about the morality. A few days back, I've seen, a kind of decree, from the Ministry of Education to bring, the full value of the Department of Islamic Studies back in a bigger form. So they wanted, and I'd like to salute them, for this move because, in the past, a lot of people thought that, maybe there's no need, even we used to call it Islamic culture.
It was filtered.
Yeah, and it is optional, whether you want to take it or not, it's not, affecting your grades and so on.
And this is the outcome that we're suffering now.
We have people who are coming without moralities, the way they talk to people, bad representations, we need, people are shocked nowadays, sometimes with the way people behave, the way that people, act, in terms of morality. And we are paying the price of what we thought, could be a threat at the beginning.
One of my friends was telling me that they had employed new graduates, and one day the boss went to one of the graduates and told him that, can you do this task? And the graduate says, this is not my job. And then the boss said, you have to do it because you're reporting to me, and I command you to do it. And the boy just responded and said, you can't do anything, and if you're a man enough, we'll face each other in court.
Wow.
So this is the attitude that we have today. Yeah. So there is no respect for the elderly. There is no respect for the job. There is no the ambition to do something which is out of our way. I think, Ahmed, everyone in the old generation, you did lots of things that are not part of your job. Yeah, but you're doing it with a big smile because you're contributing to your nation, to your country, to the development of your country, and you don't mind doing something extra. Yeah. So this is not the way forward.
Yes, and it's really sad, when you talk about the idea of what's happening, especially in youth lives. Okay, and I like what you said at the beginning, that they are not to be blamed. Okay, fully.
Yes.
But they have to take also part of the blame by, responding to a lot of the recommendations that, a lot of people are recommending for them in order to succeed in life. And one of them is, to really develop, morally, okay? If you don't have all these ethics, as generators in your life, okay, that generate you to do a lot of good things in your life, then we'll have an issue. Because without ethics, you can steal, you can harm, you can do a lot of things, okay? And this is not the society that we want to have. And especially that, we have all of these ethics and morals in our teachings. So why we are having double standards, why don't we follow everything in our religion, and so that we can see the fruits of these teachings? We cannot just pick, some of it and then we expect, everything to change. No. Yes. It's a collective kind of, mentality, if you want to call it development. Okay, we need to connect the dots all together in order to get to a certain outcome.
What about worldwide, Ahmed? What is the consequences of the lack of morality? What is happening to the world today?
Well,
I think 2 weeks back we had something big.
Yeah.
What happened 2 weeks back?
Well, gay marriage.
The legalization of the same-sex marriage.
Yeah. So now it's becoming, okay. I was reading I don't know if I can share this, but, I was reading a joke, there was an immigrant, from Asia going to the States, He said, when I came to America at the beginning, it was a kind of, taboo, to talk about, homosexuality or gay marriage, okay? And then later on, we had the idea of, it's not okay to talk about them. You have the choice. You want to be, like this, or you don't want to be like this. So you have the choice, the second stage. Nowadays, he's saying, I'm afraid that, I might be forced, later on, to go for something that I don't like to go. So I better go back home, to my, country. But anyway, this is also something to do with the idea of morality, and how people have manipulated a lot of these, concepts in order to achieve a hidden agenda. Now, people, will come and talk to you about this, from a perspective of equality. And also freedom, Like, I mean, this is my freedom. You cannot, cross, the boundaries, I can do whatever I want and so on. And also, we are also talking about equality and, why you have to harm me,
I was just shocked with looking at the pictures of the amount of people who are celebrating this.
Yeah.
It's just, catastrophic.
Yeah.
A lot of people around the world are celebrating this.
Yeah.
And it's becoming very scary. Because today, I don't think this world has become a safe place to raise our children.
Yeah.
If this is the case. Yeah. And we're talking only about one part. What about wars, violence, rape,
yes,
theft, money laundering, pornography,
yeah.
prostitution, child labor?
Yeah.
All these things are really out of the lack of
morality. Exactly.
Lack of morality.
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary about chocolate making.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were growing these cacao fruits in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
So they took this documentary. They took the farmers who were earning almost $3 to $4 a day from growing these fruits. And they took them to Switzerland. First, they asked them, "Do you know what is done by these?" I think we have a break. Let us take this short break, and then I'll continue the story.
Okay, thank you.
Radio Sultanate of Oman, 90.4 FM.
Fly Emirates to 17 destinations across the Far East and as many as 38 European destinations in our ever-expanding network. Be there for some truly inspiring experiences. To find out more, visit emirates.com/OM. Fly Emirates. Hello tomorrow.
Lulu BMW Dream Drive. This season, luxury awaits you at Lulu. Shop and win 6 BMW X5 35i and other fabulous prizes. With every purchase of 10 Rials, get a chance to win up to 6 BMW X5 35i and 30 Icon products like 48-inch LED TVs, top-load automatic washing machines, air coolers, halogen air fryers, tablets and lots more. Shop at Lulu today and stand to drive home your dream. Promotion valid till 5th August 2015. Lulu, where the world comes to shop.
Radio Sultanate of Oman, 90.4 FM.
Dear listeners, welcome back to your show, Life as It Is, with me, Hatem Al-Absalam, and Ahmed Matani. We're talking about modern poverty. And we have a call, but I'll just continue the story before taking the call about the farmers who are from Brazil, and they didn't know what the seeds are used for. So and then they were taken to the factory of making chocolates in Switzerland, and they were given the chocolate bars, and they said that we've never tasted chocolate in our life. And many of these factories, they earn millions of dollars out of these products that are used by these farmers who are very simple and earn very little for these fortune big companies that make millions.
Wow.
Yeah, so there is no equality. There is no even the basic elements of human being.
Yeah.
So let us take this call. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Muhammad, how are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah. How about you guys doing?
Fine, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen.
I was listening, mashallah. It's a very interesting topic, and I had a few comments, if you would allow me.
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
It's interesting to talk about morality, ethics, and there are two things that I would like to share. First of all, the worldly definition of morals and ethics, they keep on changing. We discussed yesterday in terms of the ratings of movies.
Yes.
Yes. Dramatically in the past 4 decades. We, or most of us, have become more immune to higher standards of violence and sex.
Yes.
And which is shown in the movies. And the other thing is that we can see there are movements going on, and you guys were talking about the legalizing of the same-sex marriage, and there are debates out there where people are saying that assisted suicide should be legalized, and prostitution should be legalized across the board, and taxed, and so on and so forth. And the second thing is that something might be legal, yet it's unethical and unmoral. As an example of prostitution. It might be legal in certain places. That still doesn't make it moral.
And drugs in some of the countries.
Yeah, some of the places, yeah. And vice versa, something could be moral and ethical, yet it's illegal in certain places. As an example, polygamy.
Yes.
So you see this huge discrepancy in these practices because these are man-made.
Yeah.
Okay. So the solution is that humanity, instead of suffering and instead of letting their generation suffer, they need to go back to the teachings of Islam, which are given by the Creator for the creation. So Islam is the only deen or the complete way of life that not only defines morality and ethics, but it also guides humanity towards it. Okay? And morality, we all know, is a source of strength, not only for the individuals, but for the whole society. And it generates hallmarks like piety and humility and sense of accountability.
Yes.
And if there's a lack of morality in an individual's life or collectively in a society's life, the results are detrimental. I mean, we see corruption and widespread vices and sins all around us. Okay?
Yeah.
And again, I would like to highlight this thing. There's something very interesting someone told me a while back, and since you gentlemen were talking, it came back to my mind. And I'll say it in Arabic and then in English, that in the old days we used to have talim. In the old days we used to have less talim and more tarbiyah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so talim is like education, and tarbiyah you can say upbringing or morals, for the sake of this radio show. But in this day and age, with the new generation, we have talim all over the place. However, we are losing tarbiyah, or we have lost tarbiyah in most cases.
Yeah.
And for our friends out there, Muslims and people of other faiths, I would like to invite them to study Quran, and if they feel it's a mammoth task, just read one of the shortest chapters over there, which is Surah Al-Asr, okay, where God Almighty, swears by time, and He says the whole humanity is in loss, except, and He defines 4 characteristics. Number 1, faith.
Yes.
Number 2, good deeds. And number 3, commanding or advising others to the truth, and 2, patience. So that tells us that when we start treading the way of truth, it's not going to be easy. We're going to have challenges, and that's what we see all around us. Patience is the key. However, we cannot give up. And as long as we use the definition of morals and ethics given by Islam, it doesn't matter what happens in our life. We will not change. Like there's a saying in the West, I'm going to join the winning team. But that's not what it's all about. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. You might be ruling the world at some point in time, and then at other points you might be at another. You might be at the lowest point, which we can see pretty much around us when it comes to the Muslim world. However, the rules of the game don't change, because you and I didn't decide on them. It was the supreme authority that did it.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Muhammad.
Yeah. And I guess,
thank you very much for giving me this precious time.
Yeah.
Shukran, Muhammad.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
I think Muhammad has given us, have summed up the formula of how to purify ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
As we know, he has mentioned the chapter of Al-Asr, the surah of Al-Asr, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that everyone is in loss.
Yes, except
these categories. So today, if we verify what is there out there in this world, we are all at a loss.
Yes.
We're all at a loss. There is a lot of crime, there is a lot of war, there is a lot of killing, there is a lot of oppression, there is a lot of poverty, there is a lot of discrimination, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
So we're nobody can argue and say that we are not in a loss.
Yes, we are in a loss.
So the formula to purify ourselves is through these 4 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. First, to propagate faith, that everyone has to have a faith. Yeah, living like cattle, living like with no purpose, that you don't need faith, then for sure you will be in a loss in the long run.
Correct.
Yeah, so faith is number 1. Number 2 is good deeds. For you to express your faith, you have to do it in action by doing the good deeds,
which are mainly derived from our moralities and the ethics that we have in our religion.
Yes, and number 3 is commanding others towards goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, it is not enough for you only to have the good deeds.
Yes.
You are ordered by and commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to command others, to order others, and to introduce to them the good deeds. Yeah, so they can join. Because if just an example, they tell us normally when you have an apple, a box of apple, if one apple is rotten, then the entire box will be rotten as well. So you can't afford to be surrounded by all this evil, and not do anything about it.
Correct.
So you have to command others. And finally is patience.
Yes.
Yeah. We can never accelerate our needs, our demands. Yeah. We always have to be patient in whatever we want. And patience is believing in Allah and what He has provided to us and the substance that He gave us. That's why we will not be we're not allowed to go and invade other people. We're not allowed to deprive other people from their rights, from their resources, just for our own selfishness.
And this is what's happening actually around us nowadays, because we don't have all these equalities. We tend to invade other people's privacy, rights and so on. And he mentioned something very interesting, when it comes to the idea of identity. Somehow he mentioned something about identity.
Yes.
And when you talk to a lot of youth nowadays, they just want to tell you, we want to be cool.
Yes.
Okay, and regardless if they can harm other people around them, and that also has been made because of the media too.
Yes.
A lot of people, are not willing to be good Muslims or real Muslims, let's put it this way. Okay, because they want to look, like other people. They want to imitate, other people. As a result, of that, they leave a lot of, morality, gap in their lives. And they act sometimes in a very hostile or in a very aggressive way, because they don't have any morality in their lives anymore. They want just to adopt a new lifestyle, which does not promote, the idea of morality or ethics in life anymore. So, and we're paying the price. Now, as I told you before, the idea of bringing, the concept of Islamic studies into the curriculum as a main course is a good sign. Now, people, pay the price for that.
Yes.
We had a lot of people who were coming without, graduating without moralities and ethics and so on. Now, people started to realize that, if you don't have morality and you don't have ethics in your lives, you will, suffer. Not only the person who is not having morality in their lives, but people who are surrounding them.
I've been doing tours around the hospitals in Oman, and we visited some of the hospitals that are really facing issues which have to do with morals and ethics. And just imagine that with all the problems they're going through with the ministry, in terms of the packages and things like that. Many or some nurses or medical staff, they chose to walk away from their jobs during their duty, just to show their anger, which is something that you are penalizing someone else who has nothing to do with that.
Yes. So
and these people who are the people who took oath on this job to serve the weak, to serve the sick, and to be there no matter what happens. And today they walk away.
Yes, because as you said, the morality concept is not anymore in their lives. Okay, and the other thing is that you can still ask for your rights. Okay, but it doesn't mean that you have to give up your duties, and from being done. So this is
Ahmed, this topic of morality and ethics, it goes from a small scale to a very big scale. For example, if you go to a small scale, Ahmed, if today you are, say, 80 years old, and I'm at the age of your grandson, would you like me to call you Ahmed? just call you by your name. Hey Ahmed, come over here. Hey Ahmed, do this for me. How would you feel?
Well, I don't know if that would make me, younger. Then, let him, call me Ahmed,
But actually,
but I know what you're talking about. You're talking about, like the tendency that we used to have, or maybe we still have it, to show respect in terms of using titles and so on.
Yes.
Okay, that we don't have, we don't have it the same way we used to have, okay, in the past. I'd love to be called, with a certain, title in order to show that kind of respect. Not necessarily that will impact me as a person, but, that will develop, this kind of respect virtue, okay, among us. So if we do it this way, then it's fine, yeah? But if it, not because I need a title. I don't want to have only a title, to be used before you call my name. But just if it's going to help in developing, their virtue of respect, then, I want to see it.
But this is part of our ethics and morals, Ahmed, that we were raised with.
Yeah.
You can never call a person who is elder than you with their name. You would say either Mr. or you'd say uncle, or you'd say Ammi, or you'd say any title to show the respect of that person. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
This is what we're talking about. And even greeting.
Yeah.
It used to be the trend that you would enter somewhere and people are sitting, you would greet.
Yeah, you would greet,
Today, some cases, people walk in and just
you'll use even both hands, to shake
shake people's hands. So it starts from a very small scale to a huge scale. And I think training your children at a very early stage of these basic fundamental principles of morality and ethics is very important.
But in order to do that, as we said at the beginning, you have to have, intellectual richness, okay? Yes. We suffer from what we called it intellectual poverty.
Yes.
So a lot of parents, would claim saying that, I don't have, the education or the knowledge to educate my kid, and this is the responsibility of the school. And when you go to the school, they will tell you we're responsible for teaching, content. So, and who's the victim at the end of the day? The kids, okay? We're not doing, our job as parents, and also the schools, and I would not say all the schools, okay, but, a lot of teachers in a lot of schools are not doing, their job. Yes. And this is a collective effort at the end of the day. You cannot just, put, the blame on one category, one group of people, and then expect, miracles to happen.
The last thing that we want to talk about, Ahmed, is the mission of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yeah, he was sent to complete the morals and the ethics of humanity. And today, those who are out there who are claiming that they are believers, they are the followers of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and they have not been doing their job, then we advise them to reconsider, to think twice of what harm they are doing to the message of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that he taught us every single moral and ethic that we have in our life today.
Yes.
And I would proudly say, that there is an individual in humanity that has had the morals and the conduct of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which has been recorded. Every single part of the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has been recorded and documented. And he exalted the best of morals and conduct. This is not only for Muslims. He was sent to humanity. Even the peoples of other faith, they can go and verify what we are saying today. If you want the solution for humanity, if you want the solution to the problems that you have today, go back to the morals and the teachings of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and you would find miracles. You would find keys to the problems that you are suffering from today.
Solutions. And this is doesn't only focus on the religious, because a lot of people think, when we talk about religion, we just talk about, the rituals, how we fast, how we pray, and so on. But we're talking about all domains of lives, name it. How you deal in business, how you talk to people, how you interact with people in different, deals, and so on. And we need also to really propagate, this culture to other people. What's happening, most of the time? We focus on one aspect when we forget, the other aspects, of lives.
Yes.
That, Islam or the Islamic teachings can bring, solutions to all domains of life. And this is why we need, like people in all the domains of life to contribute, to these, areas to see, like now, for example, we're talking about the concept of Islamic banking. And it's really interesting. Like Britain, for example, has a very interest, in implementing, Islamic banking concept, in England. In fact, they sent a lot of people to study Islamic banking in a lot of Islamic countries,
yes,
in order to understand the concept. And they want to bring it as a whole system in their country because they can see the value. And we are to be blamed for that, actually, because we did not do a lot of da'wah or propagation, for these beautiful messages and principles and teachings, of our religion to humanity. And then, we blame people, for misunderstanding us because we are not doing our job.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in chapter 2, why do you do what you don't, why do you preach what you don't do?
Yes.
What you don't do. And this is what many of us are doing today.
Tend to do.
We preach of something and we don't we don't act on what we preach, and this is a dangerous thing.
Yes,
that's why we're losing credibility in this world, because as believers we should be the pioneers to bring morality and ethics to this world. But because we're not following our own teachings, then it is really creating a confusion among everyone else in this world.
And we should have this intention, from the beginning, okay, that we want this goodness, to spread, okay, to the world, okay, because there is a lot of goodness that, humanity can benefit from, okay, from the teachings of Islam, or from this beautiful religion. And so when we have that kind of intention from the beginning, that when we propagate, the teachings of Islam, what's going to happen? These people will benefit from these, the outcomes of such teachings. But unfortunately, we just have this selfish, attitude. Let them do whatever they want, and we will do whatever we want, okay? And it's not my responsibility anymore to teach people, the right, teachings. And also that will reduce a lot of, of what we are suffering from, which is, misunderstanding Islam or misrepresenting Islam's. So we need to do a lot of work when it comes to propagating, for these teachings and so on. And one of them is the idea of morality.
Okay, what is the way forward, Ahmed?
I think we should have a lot of, like plans when it comes to this. First of all, maybe there should be a kind of reform, when it comes to our education system, that values and emphasizes the importance of morals in our lives. And there should be a practical solutions, or practical, let's say, activities or tasks. For example, when you teach, let's say one moral, for example, or one concept or one piece of ethics, that we have in our concept, we need to go and ask, the students to go and apply it in the society to see the value or the impact, the positive impact of these, morals in our lives. Because people have to see.
Not only theory.
No, this, theory, like concept of doing things, like memorize things, and put them on a piece of paper at the end of the semester does not work. Okay? People have to see the practicality and also the benefit of what they're doing.
Yes.
Okay? We have to really, work on the schools. And also I would say that, maybe we should have a lot of programs for parents, because sometimes, we have a lot of parents who are not ready to be parents anyway. And unfortunately, some people think that marriage is a social necessity. Everybody gets married, so I have to get married. But in reality, they have to be ready before they get married. Okay? And one of the things that they have to really know before getting married is the concept of morality.
Yes.
How to treat your wife, okay? How to, treat, your kids in the future. How to bring them up, when it comes to the values and so on. So I think, we should have more programs, workshops, seminars, to educate, parents to be, really practical and parents, and who derive, a lot of their teachings and values from what the Islamic teaching. And also we need to change the way we preach people. Okay.
Which is a very important.
Yes.
Point.
The way we used to have, in the past, okay, cannot work, nowadays. We need to use the same tools that, I would call them the enemies are using in order to invade our houses and take, all these morals, from our houses. We have to be modern, when it comes to the idea of propagating, Islam's. We need to study, what kind of things, they do in order to get into our houses, okay? Yes. And use these tools in order to propagate, the goodness of our teachings. And also we need to...
Most of the time, Ahmed, we don't have alternatives.
Yes.
That's why we are failing. We're lacking in this area, finding the right alternatives to our problems.
I think, sometimes, it's back to the idea of being creative,
Yeah.
If we are, creative in the solution that we bring to humanity, then, we will not have an issue. Do you think that, we don't have creative people here in the society?
We do
have creative people in the society. But we need to give them the chance. We need to create, the channel for them, to communicate all these ideas to the society.
Yes.
And through this channels and the platforms or even the financial resources, also, other resources that will help, these people to convey these beautiful messages of our teaching to the people who are in our society at a bigger scale and will not have, an issue. And, of course, the role of media also is very important when it comes to this. Your program, the other programs, for Dr. Weil and Sister Reem, are also chances, for people to learn about, their teachings, about, their Islamic principles, not only for Muslims, but even for non-Muslims. And I think, we have to do more of these kind of programs in order to educate people about, the right message of Islam.
Yes. Do we see our world in a few years moving towards morality? Is there hope?
Well, I would say yes and no. Okay, we have to be optimistic, first of all.
Yes.
But, we might need to have a struggling period, I would call it. We will continue struggling, with what's happening, in terms of lack of morality in our societies. But I guess this is the human need or human nature, okay, that you need to go back to your soul. And when your soul is always empty or becomes, continues to be empty, needs to be filled. And this is why we need to really work hard in order to find ways to fill this empty souls, for people. And so I would say maybe, we'll suffer the beginning, but I see, a light at the end of the tunnel.
There's always an optimistic view that there should be a shift in a generation to make a change.
Yes.
So maybe our generation is not the one who's going to make the change. Maybe a newer generation that will come and appear will make the difference.
But at the same time, I don't want, people to use this as an excuse to say that, since, we messed it, okay, and we cannot do much about it.
Yes.
We should, we just, stop and do, nothing about it.
Yes.
We can do whatever we can do,
yeah.
Okay, at the end of the day. Okay, and, other people will, take, the lead after maybe we depart, from this life. But, we have to do something about it.
Ahmed, thank you very much for today's show. The insight that we had today, the discussion, it was very fruitful, inshallah. And I hope our listeners have benefited from today's show. So
I hope so.
Let us remind of tomorrow's show. What is tomorrow's show, Ahmed?
Tomorrow we're going to have Sister Maya, and she will be talking about also a very interesting topic, which is obsession in looks.
Obsession in looks. So tomorrow,
I think, we'll have a lot of ladies,
with
tuning in,
yeah. So from me, Hatem Al-Absalam, and Ahmed Muta'ani, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Never think of change. Be the change. Thank you for being a part of this amazing journey. Life as it is. Here on the Nation Station, Radio Sultan of Oman. 90.4 FM.